the first time. He really felt that, he was who he was, and now what he wanted to do was to go out and express that to other people. And he did. I mean, as I said, most of you who talked to him, though you knew he had illness, he didn't belabor it. He was, always asked, how are you doing? What's going on with you? What can I do to help you? And he cared, and he reached out, and he was just a constant source of love, support, and encouragement to people. And as I said, I didn't know half the people whose life he touched, because I would be, in the kitchen making dinner or out running errands and all that, and he'd be at home tapping away on his computer, working on the internet, and reaching out to people and basically talking with them, communing with them, sometimes helping them, and he just loved doing that, and that's what he wanted to express to the world. As most of you know, I helped him assemble and edit the Guns and Magilla, which is an online magazine. He also put together a magazine for 7 editions called Being Jewish, which he edited, and I helped him do the layout work on it. I have copies of Being Jewish at the back of the room, so certainly those of you who want some help yourself, do them and take them with you when you go, because every magazine and every edition of the Guns and Magilla always started off with Michael's message, and most of the time it was just such a positive, uplifting thing about the world is going to be a better place because we're here to do something good about it. It's as I say, it takes the actions of a few good people to make big changes. And so I sort of would like to take this occasion during this to stop briefly and thank the people who came here today and brought food and organized and did a lot of the planning and put things together, because it's just the actions of a small few that are making this such a wonderful celebration of who Michael is and what kind of life he led. At the end, I'll tell you, he told me he was tired, he couldn't do anymore, and he wanted to go. And I told him I'd help him with that, because the world would be a lot easier if we all died at the same time, but we don't, so some of us have to stay, and some of us have to go. But, one thing that I remind myself is that, I had my Michael, 30 years. I had a man in my life who I loved. He loved me, and I took care of him, and he took care of me. And the things that he brought into my life are gifts that I'm going to nurture and cherish forever. And I hope you all, if you haven't already found your own Michaels in your own life, we'll find one soon, because it's the greatest thing you can find. I mean, you can have success, you can have nice things around you, but boy, you come home to someone who loves you, and you love them right back. That's the best. So, one thing that the gifts that he gave me are inside me still, and so, even though he's gone, I still feel that our love is going to go on forever. So I want to thank you all for being here today and celebrating the life and the wonderful person that was Michael. I want to ask anyone else now who'd like to say a few words, they can either step forward or I can bring the microphone to you, just signal me, and like you to share it.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for coming. My name is Laura Palmer, and I am Michael's niece, and I came here from Virginia last night. Though Michael and I, my Uncle Michael and I, have never lived very close in distance, I've always known and felt very close to him and a connection in my heart with him. It was that relationship that I knew every time we would talk or Skype or email when you were cooking, or when sometimes you were there too, and we'd be Skyping together and be able to see each other. I always felt that closeness to him. And I was honored to be able to come here to Montreal one other time for Arnold and Michael's wedding weekend, and it was such a blessing to have been there. For me, I see my uncle as brave. He was a stoic, always positive in the face of adversity, as you've all heard, had an unconditional love for others. He gave and never expected anything back. He was a hero. His words to me were always encouraging and made me feel loved. He was there for me during a difficult time in my life, and he always loved me unconditionally, and he always had, said that I'm there for you no matter what, no matter who isn't there for you, and that really brought me so much closer to him. Some of us wonder how he did it, how a man with such complicated illness and diagnosis made it seem like he was fine, or that it was just seemed easy. But you see, he did not make that who he was. He didn't let that define him. It was because of what he went through on a daily basis that strengthened him. In those trials, that's what made him stronger in his spirit. And God showered Michael with love of friendships and strong support team and many good doctors and many of his friends and that are here today. And of course, he gave him Arnold as well. And Arnold, you were steadfast support, always there, caring, loving friend and partner. So today, Michael, we honor you today, we celebrate your life, and we love you and miss you greatly.
Would anybody else like to say a few words? You want the microphone? You want me to?
I don't know how good I'm going to be at this, but I'm just going to say a few words. I'm founder of the Canadian Writers Society and met Michael and Arnold on Facebook. And anyone who hates Facebook, I love it now. I met two of the greatest friends I've ever had. We communicated first on Facebook when they were going out together and getting married and through the whole trials and tribulations of their journey and their relationship. And the happiest day, and I've told Arnold this 100 times and he knows I repeat, was when Arnold wheeled Michael in to our meeting, our writer group meeting. And our friendship really, we bonded, not you. He knows what I'm going to say. Michael, I have to say, with Michael it was a compliment. I put Michael to sleep every night in the hospital. When I didn't hear from him after a certain hour, when I know they closed the phone lines and he couldn't make calls out, and I didn't see unknown number, I would nag him to death and say, what's happening and is Michael okay? Michael always asked about me. And I want to tell you that through all his trials and tribulations, he would call me and say, I died last night. I said, no, you didn't, you're still here. And you know what, though? He loved you very much.
I know.
The biggest regret he had was leaving you. Okay? And we miss him.
I miss him too.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to say anything?
Hi, I met Arnold in college, and then I stayed in touch with him when he was in Toronto, and then he moved off to Boston and kind of lost sight of him until I found that he'd moved back to Montreal. A friend of mine pointed out, I saw an article by Arnold Hanna in the Mirror magazine, and I said, oh, so he's back in town. So I got in touch with him, and I went over with my 2 young boys and my wife, went over to see Michael, and he was great with them. He was fantastic with them. He was always so brave, he had so many tribulations, but he was always always there for me. When I had troubles in my life, he was very supportive, both he and Arnold. And he never asked anything for it. And it was an inspiration how he never gave up and he never complained. And he put up with my sense of humor. But I'll really miss him. He was such a splendid guy.
Yeah, Peter was taking care of Michael at home at the end of his life while I was going out and helping my mother and father pack up their house because they were moving here. So it was a lot of things at the same time. And one of the things that always touched me is the way Peter said that, Michael can't wait for you to come home. He said, the dogs would be at the back door where they're staring out the back waiting to see when I would show up. And he said, in a very real sense, Michael was in the same way. He couldn't wait for me to get home. And boy, when I got home, I was glad to see him too. We had, well, in a sense, it kind of felt a little selfish because although we had still have, a lot of really great friends, we were terrific company for each other all the time. I never got tired of listening to each other's stories or jokes. And he said Michael put up with Peter's sense of humor. He put up with mine as well. I remember one particular time Peter was over and Michael was it was during the pre-election period, and Michael was an early adopter and believer in Barack Obama. I was still very much on the fence as to whether I was going to vote for Obama or not, because we both can vote in the United States. And they said that one of the fundraising things that Obama was doing was that he was selling T-shirts. So if you wanted to get a T-shirt, go on the internet and get an Obama T-shirt. And Michael said, "Oh, I'm gonna get myself some Obama T-shirts." And he went online and he's like tapping away, and this thing happened and that thing happened. It was out of stock here and they couldn't get there. And I finally turned to him. I said, "You expect this guy to run the free world? He can't even organize a T-shirt sale." And Peter laughed, and Michael took that kind of ribbing with good nature. And that's a real rare gift in someone. I mean, you could tell his timing to tell a joke was razor sharp, but he could also take a joke. He could be made fun of and not get upset, which is something that I have to learn to do because I like people to take me seriously, and when they make jokes about you, they don't. Anyone else want to add anything? Sure, come on up, Susan.